Hello and welcome to the Masonic Authors Guild International. This is Robert L.D. Cooper with Mark A. Tabert. We are Magi. Our mission is to promote the highest standards in education, research and publications relating to the global phenomenon of Freemasonry. The Dukes of Atholl and Freemasonry by W. G. Fisher, and taken from the Grand Lodge of Scotland Yearbook, 1969, beginning on page 68. Part 1. There are many cases of families with a history of several generations taking part in Freemasonry. Apart from our own royal family, however, there can be few which have such a record as the Dukes of Atholl. The family name is Murray, and the Murrays and their retainers are hardy Highlanders from Perthshire, with a history of mixed loyalties. The first Duke was the 29th Earl, and the second Marquess of Atholl, Earl of Tullibardine, etc. He was the eldest son and heir of John Murray, who was created Marquess of Atholl on the 17th of February 1676. The first Duke's mother was Amelia Sophia, daughter and sole heir of James Stanley, 9th Earl of Derby, through whom her grandson, the second Duke, succeeded to the sovereignty of the Isle of Man and the English barony of Strange, created by writ in 1628. So far as we know, the first Duke was not a Freemason in the English Masonic system, or even a gentleman Mason in a Scots operative lodge. He was blind in one eye, and was known as Ian Cam. He was a faithful supporter of William III, who in 1696 conferred on him the titles of the Earl of Tullibardine, Viscount Glenalmond, and Lord Murray. This was in his father's lifetime, and the title became extinct when Ian Cam died. On the 6th of May 1703 he succeeded his father as Marquess of Atholl, and on the 30th of June in the same year he was created Duke of Atholl, Marquess of Tullibardine, Earl of Glencairn, and Lord Murray, Balvenie and Cask, all in the county of Perth. Appointed Lord Privy Seal for Scotland in April 1703, he had previously been installed as a Knight of the Thistle on the 7th of February 1703. In the following year he surrendered his office of Lord Privy Seal and actively supported the union of Scotland with England. His second but elder surviving son, styled Marquess of Tullibardine, having joined the Earl of Mar in the 1715 rebellion, was attainted by the United Kingdom Parliament, and by law could not succeed to his father's titles and estates. The first Duke, therefore, procured an Act of Parliament vesting the succession in his next surviving son, James. When the first Duke died on the 14th of November 1724, the Jacobites styled the attainted Marquess of Tullibardine as Duke of Atholl. James Murray, born on the 28th of September 1690 at Edinburgh, was a captain and lieutenant colonel of a grenadier company in the 1st Regiment of Foot Guards in 1712, and was later lieutenant colonel of the 1st Royal Scots Regiment of Foot. He was also MP for the county of Perth from 1715 to 1728. Lord James Murray married firstly Jane, widow of James Lanoy of Hammersmith, a merchant and daughter of Thomas Frederick, by whom he had 2 sons and 2 daughters. The 2 sons died in infancy. The elder daughter, Jean, married John Lindsay, 20th Earl of Crawford, who was Grand Master of England, 1734 to 1735. The younger daughter, Charlotte, married her cousin, John, who became the 3rd Duke of Atholl. No doubt the second Duke foresaw some difficulties in regard to the succession, for in 1733 he obtained an Act of Parliament which provided that the attainder of his brother, the Marquess of Tullibardine, so far as it affected the honours and estates of the Dukes of Atholl, should apply only to that brother and his issue, and not to any other male heirs of the first Duke. This brought into the succession the issue of his next surviving brother, Lord George Murray, who was pardoned for his part in the 1715 rebellion, but later was again to take up arms in the 1745 rebellion and end his days in exile. We do not know when or where the second Duke was made a Mason. He could have been a gentleman Mason in some Scottish operative lodge, or he may have been initiated in an English lodge during one of his frequent visits to London, carrying out the duties of his public offices. We know that he was a Freemason because he attended the meeting of the Grand Lodge of England on the 17th of April, 1735. The following is an extract from the minutes of that meeting. Quote, Thursday, April 17th, 1735. At the house of the Right Honourable the Lord Viscount Weymouth in Grosvenor Square there met the Right Honourable the Earl of Crawford, Grand Master, Sir Cecil Ray, Bart, G.M. Deputy Grand Master, Sir George Ward, Esquire, and Sir Edward Mansell, Bart, Grand Wardens, the Right Honourable the Lord Viscount Weymouth, Grand Master-elect, the Duke of Richmond, the Duke of Atholl, the Earl of Wynchley, the Earl of Balcarras, the Earl of Wemyss, that is, James Wemyss, the 5th Earl, Earl of Loudon, Marquess of Bowden, and Lord Cathcart and Lord Verbarty. It will be noted there are several other Scottish peers present at this meeting. The Grand Lodge of Scotland was formed in the following year, but the Duke did not take any part in this, nor does he appear to have been considered for the Grand Mastership. A Duke of Atholl is named in connection with an alleged meeting of Knights Templar in 1745 at Holyrood Palace in Edinburgh, when Prince Charles Edward Stuart is said to have been installed as Grand Master. The Duke referred to in the story is believed to have been the Marquess of Tullibardine. The story, the truth of which is extremely doubtful, is told in AQC Volume 33, pages 40 to 45, and also in Volume 67, pages 53 to 55, and need not be repeated here. It is fairly certain that the second Duke of Atholl could not have been at Holyrood at the time stated. During the 1745 rebellion, he was in London, and his seat, Blair Castle, was seized by his brothers William, Marquess of Tullibardine, and Lord George Murray. He accompanied the Duke of Cumberland to Scotland, but he does not appear to have been in command of any troops. He was a subscriber to Alexander Gordon's Itinerum Septent Rationale, which was published in 1726, but his support of Alexander Gordon was probably not because Gordon was a Freemason, but because that publication contained much useful information about ancient remains in Scotland. The second Duke of Atholl in 1736 succeeded his cousin James Stanley, 10th Earl of Derby, in the sovereignty of the Isle of Man. The Duke is reported to have immediately appointed his nephew, James Murray, afterwards General James Murray, as governor of the small kingdom as it then was. If this is correct, James Murray must have been only 14 years of age. The Duke himself visited the island in 1739, and it was recorded at the time as follows. Quote, the Duke of Atholl was received as king in Man by the inhabitants of that island with great expressions of joy. The firing of the great guns was heard distinctly on the coast of Galway in Scotland. Close quote. At the same time, he succeeded to the English barony of Strange. Consequently, for 4 years, he was both a representative peer of Scotland and an English peer sitting in the House of Lords. He ceased to be a Scottish representative peer at the general election of 1741. He was Lord Privy Seal of Scotland from 1733 to 1763, when he was appointed Keeper of the Great Seal and was installed Knight of the most ancient and honourable noble order of the Thistle on 11th of February 1733. He died full of years at Dunkeld, County Perth, on the 8th of January 1764. His portrait was engraved by Brother John Faber the Younger, 1695 to 1756.
This podcast is for educational purposes and perhaps entertainment. While the Masonic Authors Guild International provides the most accurate information possible, listeners use the information at their own risk. This podcast and its contents are Magi's property, as are all the opinions and the information it presents. Robert L.D. Cooper's, Mark A. Tabert's, and any other speakers' views and opinions within the podcast do not represent nor speak for Freemasonry, any Masonic organization, their former or current employers, in any way, shape, or form. Magi, Cooper, or Tabert will not compensate you in any way whatsoever if you ever happen to suffer any inconvenience due to the information herein contained.